Hello, Miss Hong. So my name is Jun Yang, and now I will introduce you about the demographics. So basically, demographic variables include age, family size, family life cycle, gender, income, occupation, education, religion, race, generation, nationality, and finally is social class. So the reasons why demographic variables are so popular with marketers are that first, they are as often associated with consumer needs and wants. Secondly, they are easy to measure. And finally, they could be used to estimate the size of the market and the media we should use to reach it efficiently. So here's how marketers have used certain demographic variables to segment the market. However, there are only some characteristics that marketers use most, which are the first one is age and life cycle stage. So consumer wants and abilities change with age. For example, consumers in 25 to 40 years old age group might have different purposes and requirements when buying household estates than those in more than 40 years old age group. So age segmentation can be even more refined. However, age and life cycle can be tricky variables. The target market for some products may be the psychologically young. The next one is life stage. So people in the same part of the life cycle may still differ in their life stage. Life stage defines a person's major concern, such as going through a divorce, going into a second marriage, taking care of an older parent, buying a home, and so on. So these life stages present opportunities for marketers who can help people cope with the accompanying decisions, but not everyone goes through that life stage at a certain time or at all, for that matter. The next one we have is gender. So men and women have different attitudes and behave differently based partly on genetic makeup and partly on socialization. So a research study of shopping found that men often need to be invited to touch a product, whereas women are likely to pick it up without prompting. So men often like to read product information and women may relate to a product on a more personal level. So gender differences are shrinking in some areas as men and women expand their roles. Next one is income. So income segmentation is a long-standing practice in such categories as automobiles, clothing, cosmetics, financial services, and travel. However, income does not always predict the best customers for a given product. So many marketers are deliberately going after lower income groups some cases is covering fewer competitive pressures or greater consumer loyalty. And the last one is generation. So each generation of cohort is profoundly influenced by the times in which it grows up, like the music, movies, politics, and defining events of that period. So the four main generation cohorts from the youngest to oldest are first one is Gen Z, millennial, or we also call it as Gen Y, Gen X, and finally is baby boomer. So members of each cohort share the same major cultural, political, and economic experiences and often have similar outlook and values. So marketers may choose to advertise to a cohort by using the icons and images prominent in its experiences. They can also try to develop products and services that uniquely meet the particular interests or needs of a generation target. So, for example, according to the information provided from Namlong Group website, we could use the eHome as a project of Namlong with the demographic segmentation set below. First, we can see that the slogan is máy ấm đầu tiên. So we can see that the age group of the target audience is from 25 to 35 years old. And for the life circle, they are young married, young and they have younger children who are 6 years old or older. and the income is around 10 million Vietnam dong a month. So he's some particular customers that could buy eHarms S, right? So you could read it here. Yes, and this is also the end of my part. Thank you for listening to my part.
So now first we come to the geographic segmentation. So about what is it? Geographic segmentation is a type of market segmentation that group prospective customer based on where they live, and it divides the market into units such as nation, state, regions, country, city, or neighborhoods, and it works on the principle that people in that location have similar needs, wants, and cultural considerations. So, why is it important to segment customer based on geographical variables? First one, it makes your brand relevant because target marketing campaign will attract customer and increase revenue because they appeal to the need and the one within a geographic location. And second one is that it save your money. Your marketing budget is more efficient when it offer appropriate and available product and service rather than being wasted on promoting things that nobody need. And also the third one is that it's easier. Location information is objective and easy to measure and analyze and are cheaper than the psychographic, the demographic, the behavioral segmentation. However, and there are some opposed opinion against that it will drive the cost by reducing the economy of scale and logistical problem, and also the brand overall image will be diluted if the product and message are too different in different locality. So we'll come to some geographic variables. The first one is the location. This variable can impact geographic segmentation by covering a small area like a neighborhood or a large area like a continent, a country, a city, or towns. So for example, here, Nam Long, we choose one of the top 10 province and city that attract the most FDI in Vietnam to build some outstanding project. For example, in Ho Chi Minh, in Đồng Nai, in Bình Dương. So and the second one is that the cultural difference. For example, that you may have to adapt your product to take account of cultural sensitiveness, and it will be different country and region. For example, in India, McDonald's doesn't serve any beef or pork in any form, and in any of their outlets, instead of the beef and pork, McDonald's menu in India will feature Indian burger that are 100% vegetarian, and the reason is that diet in India have been affected by different religions for centuries. And for example, some variable like time zone, the language, the climate and season, and also the urbanicity. So now we come to the psychographic segmentation. Psychographic is the science of using psychology and demographic to better understand consumer. And in psychographic segmentation, bio are divided into groups on the basis of psychological, personality trait, lifestyle, or value. So one of the most popular commercially available classification system based on psychographic measurement is strategic visiting inside PALS framework. And the main dimension of the segmentation framework are consumer motivation, the horizontal dimension, and the consumer resource, the vertical dimension. And the first dimension, the horizontal, so the first dimension, consumer motivation. Consumer are inspired by one of three primary motivation: ideals, achievement, and self-expression. Consumer who are primarily motivated by ideal are guided by knowledge and principle. The one who are motivated by achievement look for product and service that demonstrate success to their peers. And consumer who are motivated by self-expression desire social and psychological and physical activity, variety, and risk taking. The second dimension represents the resource consumer have such as income, education, self-confidence, intelligence, leadership skill, and energy. So, for example, here with this framework, Nam Long Group, some projects, some outstanding projects like Mizuki Park or Valora Island, with each department have a price from about 5 billion Việt Nam đồng. So, and the target market will be achiever, a highly achievement-oriented consumer. And they are successful career and family-oriented people, and they like prestigious product and service that can demonstrate their success to the peer. But achiever have achievement and also high resource. And another one is that, for example, like some medium project like Flora Mizuki, we target the market of striver. Striver are a group of a low resource consumer who are motivated by achievement. However, they have fewer economical, social, and psychological resource than the achiever.
Hello, Miss Hu. My name is Ding Peng, and I will continue the segmentation process with the last but also the most powerful factor for effective segmenting behavioral. So it is based on customer knowledge of attitude towards use of or respond to a product or service. Here, I divide it into three main parts. Firstly, benefit or need-based segmentation. Secondly, decision role-based segmentations. And lastly, usage-related based segmentation. And the last one is more about how people consume or use the product. So first, let's discuss about benefit-based segmentations. This approach categorizes the market into segments with different benefits sought in the same product and service. Let's take the example from Namlom Group. The brand manager of Namlom can divide the customer into three segments: family-oriented, home buyer who seeks spacious home with family-friendly environment. Second, upscale lifestyle seeker. This segment seeks luxurious and high-quality amenities, which can highlight their southeastern. Third, it is the investor buyers who seek the opportunity to maximize returns on investment from real estate. With a clear understanding of each segment benefits sought, Namlom Group manager can develop appropriate marketing implication and approach to best suit each segment. So second, we can segment the market based on decision role. This means that we will divide a market into distinct segments based on the difference of roles that individual plays in the buying decision process. So here's the example. I also take it from Namlom Group. So this organization categorized a market into three segments: individual decision, couple, and influencer driven. The first segment include individuals who purchase home without or very little considerations of others, like partners or relatives. They take on all the decision roles. The second segment focus on young couples who jointly make decisions on purchasing a house. And the last segment focuses on individuals or couples who rely heavily on external influence, such as friends, relatives, or even lifestyle KOLs, to make purchasing decisions. These external influence play a very critical role in shaping their choice. Therefore, Namlom Group needs to pay attention to not only the buyer but also to other influence if they want to target this segment. So next up we have usage-based segmentation. So this approach is how the marketing team divide a market into distinct segments based on the difference in their usage patterns of a product or service. Let's take a look at the case study of Coca-Cola in the Vietnam market that I have collect. So when first entered the market, the penetration rate of carbonated drinks was still low. Coca-Cola aimed to grow by increasing its penetration rate, which means persuading as many Vietnamese as possible to try Coke. They did it by showcasing them the tasty freshness of the Coke over other beverage or refreshment. After many years of growing the market, Coca-Cola started shifting its marketing objective towards increasing frequency by creating more usage situations for Coca-Cola, such as celebrations and gatherings on Tet holiday, for example, drink Coke during meals for better taste, sporty events, and serve as gifts for relative, family, friends on Tet holiday. This approach will help Coca-Cola grow continually when the penetration rates of the market is currently very high. So next up, so here's the segmentation based on user status with the example of Spotify that you could take a look at. And this is based on usage rate with the example of Uber, including they divide the market into three segments: new user, occasional riders, and frequent riders. Next up, we have buyer readiness stage with the example from Nike. they divide the market into three segments as well, with awareness, consideration, and purchase stage. And lastly, the segmentations based of behavioral based on loyalty status, with the example from Starbucks. The market is segmented into three parts, including infrequent visitors, regular customer, gold members. However, at the end of the day, due to limitations of capabilities, most of the business out there can't just target all of them. Instead, they have to prioritize the segment that the organization can serve and also be able to return the profit to the organizations. So here's the framework of five segmentation criteria. I call it ADAMS, used by marketing managers to effectively evaluate the segment. So the first A stands for accessible. It can be represented by a question. Can you reach consumer in that segment given any factors like organization capability or political issues? For example, if you discover that certain segments respond more effectively to outdoor advertising, social media campaign, or TV infomercial, does you have to ask a question that does your organization have the capabilities and budget maybe to reach that segment? So second, we have a D stands for differentiable or identifiable. This means that each segment that you have discovered should be internally homogeneous. For example, like consumer within that segment have similar preference and characteristics, and externally heterogeneous. For example, like different segments should be distinct and different from each other. So why? This will make sure there is no overlap between the segments, which would certainly improve the marketing program effectiveness. Third, by aligning your marketing strategies with the specific needs and preference of each segment and ensuring that your business can execute those strategies, you make the market segment actionable. Fourth, the size and purchasing power profiles of your market should be measurable and quantified, meaning there is quantifiable data available about it. A consumer profile and data provide marketing strategy with the necessary information on how to carry out their campaigns. Lastly, last but not least, the market a branch want to penetrate should be a substantial number. You should clearly define a consumer profile by gathering data on their age, gender, jobs, and their purchasing power, because it doesn't make sense to try and reach an unjustifiable number of people in the market, because that means that could lead to a consequence that you are just wasting your limited resources. However, you also don't want to market the brand to a group that is too small, that the business doesn't become profitable. So that wraps up for my part. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye, Miss Hu.
Hi, my name is Min Fu, and I am going to talk about how should a company choose the most attractive target markets. So, not all of the market segments are useful. Therefore, they must be rated based on these five key criteria. The first one is measurable. The size, growth rate, purchasing power, and characteristics of the segments can be measured. Secondly, they have to be substantial, large, and profitable enough to be served and worth marketing efforts. Thirdly, these segments can be effectively reached and served, meaning that they are accessible. Fourthly, the segments are distinguishable and respond to different marketing mix elements differently. And last but not least, they are actionable. Effective programs can be formulated for attracting and serving the segments. So now let's take an example of Namlong Group with the segment investor buyer. Firstly, the investor buyer segment for Namlong Group can be measured based on specific investment criteria. For example, the segment may consist of investors who have a minimum investment capacity of $5 million allocated for real estate. And, of course, they are substantial. The Vietnam residential real estate market size is estimated at $22.44 billion in 2023, with a compounded annual growth rate of 12.55% during the forecast period, making the investor buyer segment substantial for Namlong Group. Thirdly, they are accessible. Namlong Group can effectively reach and engage with these potential investors through industry events, conferences, and networking platforms. Fourthly, this segment is different from other segments. For example, in terms of financial capacity, investor buyers possess financial resources and the capacity to make significant investment, while other segments, such as first-time home buyers or middle-income households, may have more limited financial capacity and prioritize affordability. And last but not least, Namlong Group can implement actionable marketing strategies for this target market. This includes attending industry events and conferences, networking with key decision makers, and showcasing successful past projects. Now, let's take a look at the intrinsic long-run attractiveness of a market or market segment using the Porter's 5 force model. Firstly, threat of intense segment rivalry. A segment is unattractive if it already contains numerous, strong or aggressive competitors. Secondly, threat of potential entrance. A segment is more attractive if its entry barriers are high and exit barriers are low, which means that few new firms can enter the industry and poorly performing firms can easily exit. Thirdly, threat of substitutes. A segment is unattractive when there are actual or potential substitutes for the product because substitute place a limit on prices and profits. Fourthly, threat of buyers' growing bargaining power. A segment is unattractive if buyers possess a strong or growing bargaining power. Last but not least, threat of suppliers' growing bargaining power. A segment is unattractive if suppliers are able to raise prices or reduce quantity supplied. The best defenses are to build win-win relationships with supplier or use multiple supply sources. And now let's go back to our previous example with Namlong Group in the real estate industry and with the investor buyer segment. So, firstly, the competitive rivalry in the real estate industry can be intense because the market is highly fragmented with numerous developers competing for market share and are striving to attract buyers. For example, Vin Group, Nova Group, and Sun Group. Secondly, the threat of potential entrants for Namlong Group is relatively low. The real estate industry has high barriers to enter due to significant capital investment, technology requirements, and extensive regulatory compliance. Thirdly, the threat of substitutes for Namlong Group is relatively low, especially for the investor-buyer segment, because types of investment are really different. Real estate investment offer unique characteristics such as long-term appreciation and rental income, which are not easily replicated by other investment alternatives such as stocks or bonds. And fourthly, the bargaining power of buyers in the real estate industry can be relatively high, especially for the investor buyer, due to their high financial capacity and the availability of alternative investment opportunities. And last but not least, the bargaining power of suppliers for Namlong Group can be considered moderate because Namlong Group has some ability to manage potential risk and maintain long-term favorable supplier relationships.
Moving to the next question, that is, what are the different levels of market segmentation? And before answering this question, I would like to introduce you 7 main steps in segmentation process. And you can see from the slide. Moving to the important part, this is also an answer for the question. And this is evaluating and selecting market segment, and it consists of 4 levels. So the first level, this is full market coverage. It mentions 2 types of marketing. The first one, this is a differentiated or mass marketing. It designs a marketing program for a product with a superior image that can be sold to the broadest number of buyers via mass distribution and communication. And the next one, this is differentiated marketing. The firm sells different products to own a different segment of the market, and it typically remains more to sell than a differentiated marketing. And the second level, this is multiple segment specialization. With selective specialization, a firm selects a subset of all the possible segments and is objectively attractive and appropriate. And the multi-segment strategy also has the advantage of the diversifying the firm reach. And with the product specialization, the firm sells a certain product to several different market segments, and the risk is that the product may be supplanted by an entirely new technology. And with market specialization, the firm concentrates on serving many needs a particular customer group, such as by selling an assortment of products only to the university lab. And the third one, this is the third level. This is single segment concentration. In this level, the firm markets to only one particular segment, and through concentrated marketing, the firm gain deep knowledge of the segment needs and achieve a strong market share. And it's also about a niche. A niche is more narrowly defined customer group seeking a distinctive mix of benefit within a segment, and it has distinctive set of needs, and they will pay a premium to the firm that specify the customer need. And the last one about the individual marketing. This is ultimate level of segmentation lead to the segment of one, customized marketing or one-to-one marketing, especially one-to-one marketing is not for every company because it works the best for the firm that normally collect a radio of individual customer information and carry a lot of product that can be cross-sold, this periodic replenishment or upgrading and offer high value. And the last one, this is the last level, the fourth level, this illegal and ethical issue with market targets. In this level, marketer must target carefully to avoid the consumer backlash and some consumer receipt being labeled. And the market targeting also can generate public controversy when marketer take unfair advantage of vulnerable group. And after analyzing four level, I will give you the specific example to understand better, and we will analyze Namlom group. So in Namlam Group also try to apply the first level, this is full market coverage. Although it's really difficult for any company to undertake a full market coverage strategy, Namlam always try to develop and grow strongly. According to Namlam report, the firm is in top 3 continue to present in the top 10 most the firm developer in the 2021 in Vietnam, and this means that the percentage of Nam Long account for quite a lot of the total Vietnam real estate industry. And in addition, Nam Long also try to reach out the work by cooperating with the foreign partner. And not only that, Nam Long has various products and services to meet the demand of own customer when investing in industry. So the second level, Nam Long achieved, I think this is multiple segment specialization. And to be more specific, with the market specialization, this is the theory is related to Nam Long group because the firm concentrate on serving many needs a particular customer group. According to our research, Nam Long has various products such as HH, how downtown is about the mall, the supermarket, and the last one in the stock. Of course, for each type of product, Nam Long has a different segmentation. However, the mission and vision of Nam Long try to be a developer of the affordable housing product line in Vietnam, as well as the integrated real estate developer. Therefore, Nam Long has various service products to provide for customer. Customer can cooperate with Nam Long in any project related to industry. And the third level, I don't think it's related to Nam Long because Nam Long does not focus on it because I mentioned before this company try to account for market share and attain many type of customer instead of concentrating on the specific or small segmentation. This is not direction of Nam Long. And so the last level, the fourth level, legal and ethical issue, and you can see from the slide, this is the core value of Nam Long. This means that Nam Long main focus on affordable housing development strategy has received the support and attention of many international organizations. With the core value this describe the confidence of Nam Long. Most Nam Long products are aimed at the common goal and requirement of customer to ensure the right criteria. At the same time, Nam Long real company and product are always confident to be clear in legal and ownership right to avoid cases where the public opinion take about the transparent of the company and product. So that's the end of my part.